Alright, it's that time again. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage and what it was like to play. Before we begin this video, take a second to like, subscribe, and leave a comment at the end. Okay, so full disclaimer, I have no idea what this story was about. It was very tough for me to follow at first. So I found a summary that I'm just going to read. It says, in Mirage, Basim gives up his life as a street thief and trains as an assassin to find the faces behind the Abbasid Khalifa, which was real, Order of the Ancients, which was fiction, and they were a Templar-like group seeking an ancient memory seal. Alright, so the story. I just read online that it's on average about 15 and a half hours. I'm gonna be real. When I first played this game, I um I put it down after maybe a month because I could not get through this story. I'm not saying it was terribly written or anything like that. I think if a story can't reel me in immediately or even just within the first 30 minutes to an hour, then I have no interest. That's pretty much what happened. And then it up until recently, that's when I picked it back up. It might have been like a month ago. I picked it back up, and I decided that I wanted to finish. Now, I want a couple things I do remember as far as it was just Basim just trying to take down this this order of what was it, 5 people or something like that. I remember him being an assassin and where he came from, and who his, I guess that was his childhood friend. I have no idea, but I plan on replaying this game to kind of get a feel for it myself. Because once I did finish, I was highly confused. So I'm probably good, like I said, play it again to get an explanation of a better explanation of what was going on. But other than that, I can't. I'm not a writer, so I can't say a story is particularly weak. However, I do feel like it could have been stronger and more enticing. Because I'm used to playing stories, at least in the Assassin's Creed world. From Altair and Ezio and Connor. Like those stories were intriguing to me. Or even or Bayek. Those stories were fantastic. But this one, it just kind of it was kind of lackluster a little bit. Now, in typical Assassin's Creed fashion, I felt like they kept a lot of the stealth aspects pretty much the same, which I really enjoyed. If anything, they went back to the basics as far as blending in with the crowds, as far as uh, the use of the hidden blade. They even got away from the recent grinding and RPG kind of elements that they implemented as far as leveling up a character. You didn't have that leveling up system. I think the most you had in this was getting skill points to upgrade, your skills. But other than that, you didn't have to level up in this game, which I really enjoyed and I appreciate it. That way I didn't have to go around grinding to kill powerful enemies, that kind of thing. But I appreciated the simple stuff, walking through the crowds, like I said, and sitting on benches. I don't know. I guess I missed that part of Assassin's Creed, or hiding inside of things to run away from guards. That part was fun. Now, jumping into the combat, I felt like the combat in this game was lacking, and that's just my personal opinion. You were limited to basically one button. No, well, two buttons. You had the attack button, and you also had the block and parry button. And occasionally, if you want to roll, you can roll. So I guess 3 buttons. But really, I felt like whenever you were to go to fight enemies, you were everything just felt kind of clunky instead of smooth like the Assassin's Creed that we're used to. Um, and honestly, that's just my main complaint. You know what I mean? Because I'm used to again just like doing these smooth parries, and and I feel like I wasn't in a whole lot of control in these fights. You know what I mean? So, like other than that, like I didn't really have a whole lot to say about combat. I mean, like I said, I know this is just a fresh project, and you know, and I feel like they're gonna build upon it, and that's all I got to say about it. Now, I talked about it earlier, the upgrading system. It was pretty much straightforward in here. I mean, you were given skill points after you did certain tasks, after you completed certain missions, and you were able just to apply those to, the skill tree, and that was it. It was pretty much straightforward. And I'm glad they kept it that way. Nothing nothing too complex about it. Now look, if I'm gonna enjoy a game, I have to enjoy what I'm looking at. For example, let's just start with Baghdad and in general. When you look around you, I think that they did a phenomenal job creating this world, this environment of Baghdad, like with the streets and with the peddlers, with everything from even the wilderness, um, also to just the wildlife and everything like that. Um, Now there are a couple of things that I kind of wish they had to put more effort into, with it being a new generation game, because comparing it to, I believe it might have been Assassin's Creed Unity. Like a lot of their character models looked great compared to some of these, especially when you're just playing with them. And my personal opinion, I feel like like some of the character models look like PS4 models, when I feel like they could have pushed the boundary just a little bit more. But that's neither here or there. But other than that, man, I thought the graphics and the renderings, I thought they were phenomenal. Now, I don't know much about Baghdad, but I know I was reading online too that some people felt as if this game was too small, especially with the map. But overall, man, I had a great time, exploring everything. It took me a minute to find a lot of these undiscoverable locations, especially out in the wilderness, but I am not going to discuss that. After that brief hiatus, I will say that I'm glad I picked it back up. I really enjoyed my experience from the back end of the game, as far as the story, relearning how to play it again. If anything, I was more intrigued to restart it. And I think my experience was an overall positive one. And I would definitely recommend this to everybody else. I do feel like Assassin's Creed is headed in the right direction. I feel like they made a lot of good choices by adding a couple things, and by also being minimalistic, getting back to the basics, getting back to what the fans really enjoyed about the franchise. And that's all I have to say about Assassin's Creed Mirage. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, I would love to discuss it. And if you have a game or a movie or a TV show that you would like to discuss, hit me up and I would love to talk about it. Until then, I wish you many, many blessings.